All right, everybody. Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well. And we've got some Seattle Seahawks news. It's a couple hours old now. I know that most people probably have already seen this, but it is most certainly news, and it's most certainly interesting and relevant to this upcoming game. So let's talk about it for a minute here. Per many sources, including Greg Bell right here on X, the NFL has chosen to uphold the one-game suspension of Derick Hall for the upcoming game against the Carolina Panthers. So, to my knowledge, to the best of my knowledge, there's no opportunity to reappeal. You can't appeal to a higher authority. So, this is the end of the line. Nothing else to do. Derick Hall will miss this upcoming game with the suspension, and he will be eligible to return for week 18 against the San Francisco 49ers. So, that's the facts of the case. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. Okay, so look, the suspension part of this, the thing that he's getting suspended for, I know that this is being hotly contested. This is the tweet from Schefter a few days ago that highlighted the play where Derick Hall got suspended, or the reason why he's getting suspended. It's a play in the first quarter against the Rams, of course. Basically, Hall bull rushes McClendon. Dotson comes over to help. Hall kind of bull rushes Dotson to his knees, and then as Hall is moving towards the play, he steps on Dotson's calf. And we know that this injured Dotson, by the way, he left the game, did not return, and he's in a walking boot, I think, and on crutches, so there's a real chance he misses some time. So there were some unfortunate after effects from this. And look, this is complicated to me. I posted the video about the initial suspension a couple days ago, and I said that, I understand. I understand why the suspension came down, and I understand why Rams fans are really upset. And Rams fans are very upset, by the way. If you go on X, if you take a look at their forums, message boards, whatever, they think this is an incredibly dirty play, and they're livid about it. I think that they're being a little histrionic personally, but at the same time, I'm seeing Seahawks fans, and I saw this in my comment section, people getting mad at me, and I saw it on X, I saw it on Seahawks forums, people saying that there's no way that Hall did anything wrong on this play. I I don't think that can be said with any degree of certainty. Like, I'm sorry to have to sit on the fence because you never want to sit on the fence because it hurts. There's spikes up there. There's a barbed wire. So you never want to sit on the fence, but I don't know. I can see this one from both ways. I really can. I can understand why somebody could watch the video, and I'm going to link the tweet to this video in the description of the video, by the way. I'm not going to play it on my video, but you can go check it out if you want to through the link. Um, I can see both sides. I really can. I can see somebody looking at it and going, he's intentionally stepping on the calf of Dotson with, if not intent to injure, then kind of malicious negligence of some kind. And I can also see somebody saying, well, he was just trying to move towards the play, move towards the ball, and he didn't realize Dotson's calf was there, so it was incidental. And then it just kind of looks bad because he's deliberately stepping off of him, and maybe he put his body weight on him for a half second longer than he needed to. So I can see it from both sides. I'm not thrilled about the suspension being upheld, and I'm not saying I agree with it, but I don't think this is cut and dry the way some people seem to. A lot of Seahawks fans seem to think that this is an open and shut case, that what happened was an accident and there should be no punishment. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not saying that's definitely not the case, but I am going to say that I understand why this was the ultimate conclusion here. Ramon Foster, one of the hearing officers appointed by the NFL and the NFLPA, agreed that this play violated two rules in the NFL playbook concerning unnecessary roughness. And there was also one other element to the play as well, just kind of like things, sportsmanlike conduct, I think, unsportsmanlike conduct. So that's it. That's all there is to say about it. I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds on whether or not Hall meant it, or if Hall had an emotional reaction, or if it was a pure accident. It's really hard to know. And I would suggest that anybody who thinks that they do know should probably chill out a little bit, because with something that happened this quickly, and with something that is dealing with world-class athletes like Derick Hall is, you don't know. I'm sorry, you just cannot know. So it's whatever. So 1 game suspension for Derick Hall, which means he's going to miss this Panthers game. Now let's talk about that for a second. This is an interesting timing, right? Because now you've lost Derick Hall for 1 game, who has been an important part of this rotation. He hasn't been stellar this year, but I do think there's been some real improvement. And if not for the injury that he sustained earlier this year, he'd probably be at about a 50% snap share. But you'd got no Derick Hall. Boye Mafe was basically shelved against the Rams this last week. We basically benched him. Out of 92 snaps, he played 24, basically quarter, less than 30%. And according to PFF, he was our worst player in that game. Not just the worst defender, he was our worst player. So you add it all up, and it kind of seems like he got benched because we didn't think he was playing well. And you look at the game, you can understand why. And it kind of felt like the last straw where, yeah, we would play Mafe because we have to going forward, but we were not going to let his substandard, or however we view his play, we were not going to let his play drag this team down. We were going to play other better players if we were in a big moment or in a big game. And Thursday night was certainly a big game. So it did kind of feel like that was a moment where we were like, okay, we're done with Mafe. Biggest game of the year, 92 defensive snaps, and he barely plays. But now you kind of have to reopen the door here and let Mafe play a lot on Sunday against the Panthers. I imagine you're going to have to give him at least 45 snaps to get through without Hall. I don't think you can give Nwosu or Lawrence 70 snaps in this game. You could, I guess, because they've both been given such a good amount of time off in this rotation. The rotation's been very tight this year, but I don't think you want to do that. I think you got to hope that Mafe gets it together, plays better. This might be an opportunity for Mafe to rebuild trust with the Seahawks and maybe earn some genuine, meaningful playing time against the Niners and in the playoffs. So this is a big moment for Boye Mafe, and hopefully he shows up. Beyond that, you might see Mike Morris play some more on edge. He's barely played these last few games, but remember, he is kind of an oversized edge. He's not a great replacement for a guy like Hall that is kind of a more traditional edge rusher, so it's not a clean fit. And don't forget about Connor O'Toole, who did play a little bit earlier this year, and maybe even Jared Ivey. Maybe one of those guys gets activated, play some at edge, and that's how they bridge the gap here. Now, as for Derick Hall, how good he was playing, I know that Derick Hall wasn't really putting up great numbers, and he only had the 1 sack, but I actually thought Hall was playing some pretty decent football. He had come a long way as a run defender in particular. PFF has him ranked as one of the best run defending edges in football. He's been a big improvement there. He's still been an adequate pass rusher, even if he's not getting sacks. And overall, I feel like he's actually improved from last year. And I know that sounds kind of weird because he's not getting sacks, but I do think he's actually shown improvement. 37 pressures from PFF, that's no joke. It's not league leading territory, but it is very good. And I don't know, I'm a little bit more rosy on Derick Hall than I thought I would be this season, especially given he's not having an over the top impact. But it is worth noting that this Carolina game, which I already talked about this earlier today, I don't know how much Carolina is going to really put into winning this game. So, quite frankly, this is not a bad game for us to be missing a player. So, I'm not overly concerned about not having Boye Mafe costing us this game or anything. This team should be able to beat a possibly demotivated Panthers team, even on the road in this circumstance, with or without Derick Hall. We're going to need Derick Hall more in a game against like the 49ers. The 49ers, they have a better offense than the Panthers. They have a better passing attack than the Panthers. Honestly, I think their running game is better too, even though I know the Panthers is pretty decent. It's actually not all that effective by EPA, so even that's kind of overrated. So that's when you need Derick Hall, and of course, you need him in the playoffs. All right, so going back to the lead here, Derick Hall, 1-game suspension upheld, appeal unsuccessful. I believe that's the end of the line. So no Derick Hall this weekend. We're going to make do with other players. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. Maybe one more video later. Definitely streaming on Twitch. And everyone have a good day.